Hey everybody! Today I am going to show you how I get to this point with all of those leftover candles that I have every month. So just keep watching and I'm going to show you in a very choppy manner how I do all of this. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so welcome to my kitchen. Here is what we have that I have started on. I have scraped out the wax in 6 of the little jars, the single wick ones from Bath and Body Works. This I would normally reuse, but there's a chip right there on this, so that does not make me comfortable reusing it, so I'm just going to throw it away. There wasn't anything to chip out in that one. And unfortunately, these aren't recyclable. I can't recycle these. They have to be thrown away. I couldn't get that word out of my mouth. Sometimes you will lose the little wick. It'll come unglued from the bottom when you're scraping out, and that's not a big deal because basically they just come right off and they're reusable. I'm lazy and don't like doing that. So far, the wax that I've taken out, I've shoved into here. Oh, and I also did these 3, and I didn't do them perfectly. I didn't clean them out. You can see there's still wax in that, but I'm just going to refill it, so I didn't really care. And all I do is I stick them in the microwave for about 30 seconds and then use paper towels to just wipe them out. You cannot do this with soap and water because it is wax. As you can see, there is my utensil. It literally is a butter knife out of my kitchen drawer. Not anything too fancy. I didn't scrape the bottom of this one out yet, but I just wanted to use it to pour the wax in because I still have wax from before. That'll be our next step. Okay, so like I've mentioned in the past, I have an Anchor Hocking 2-cup measuring cup, and this is dedicated solely to wax. These are my leftover vanilla bean that I'm going to use to make a new candle, and I am going to stick this in my microwave. Oh yeah, you can see my reflection. That's horrifying. Anyway, this is a lot like candy making. Now I have a microwave express button which gives me 30 seconds. I know it's going to take longer, and I don't recommend you do this, but if you so choose, as long as you keep an eye on it, you can set it for more than 30 seconds at a time. Just be careful because you don't want to scald the wax. I know my microwave, I know how it works, so I'm comfortable doing that. 30-second increments is probably your smartest bet to start with. And do not forget, you're going to need at least one, not potatoes, hot pads, because that glass will get hot also. I need to see all my groceries. So use this to grab the handle when that comes out of the microwave because it will be hot. All right, this is what it looks like during the melting process. As you can see, it is getting slippery, but it is not completely liquefied. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know what I was actually aiming at there. So it still needs more time, and I actually have another minute on the microwave, but this will continue to melt even if it's still got some chunks in it at the end because the liquid part is very hot. So don't worry about it being completely liquefied. This is what I was talking about with it not being completely liquid, but that hot liquid will continue to melt the stuff that is not already melted. So you can see it is melting quickly as I'm doing this. And I did a total of, I'd say about 3 minutes. And what I'm going to do now is take you back over to the counter while the rest of that melts down and show you some of the setup. This is hard to do this while I'm holding my phone filming. Okay, so basically I grabbed the smallest of the 3 that I have cleaned out. I still have another one to clean. And I have wicks because I'm lazy. I don't like reusing these things. You have to have a needle to open them up and then a crimper to close them. So I just buy them pre-made instead of stringing my own wicks. I know, lazy. So individual wick. First thing you want to do is dip it in the, okay. Not great filming, sorry. But you want to make sure that you're getting it coated, okay? So it's going to take a little bit to cool off. Don't grab it immediately. But then what you're going to do is you're going to take the other end of it and you're going to dunk the end that does not have wax on it already. Make sure it gets coated. But basically what you're doing is you're getting this bottom piece, and you're going to use that and put it in the center, or as close to center as you can get it. Because it does have wax on the bottom of it, it's going to give itself a base that way when you pour the hot liquid into it. Now, oh, that's hot. I'm still not completely melted where I want to be. And you can see the wick actually started to kind of tip over because of it being heated up. And that's fine because you're going to prop the wick up after you fill the jar. So since I'm not quite as melted as I want to be, I'm going to put it in the microwave for another 30 seconds on this. I still got a big glob in there. And we will come back and pour. Okay, we look like we are pretty well liquefied now. So here is how this goes. Oh, not all of it melted. That's okay though. And the black from all of the burned wick that fell into the bottom of your candles earlier just goes to the bottom or ends up in a clump here like on the end. And I just wipe that out so I don't worry about not getting everything perfect. Now this is the fun part. We've got to make the wick stand back up. And I moved my wick, so this one might not turn out as well as I want. But I do this really professionally. These are butter knives. I'm telling you, all the tools of the trade here. So all I do is get my wick in between. Sure I do. Get my wick in between my butter knives, hopefully where it will stay. This one's fighting me. There we go. And I will let this sit for 24 hours. And then, I can move the knives off probably after a few hours, but I basically will let it sit like this, hoping that it will all set right. And sometimes you're going to get a little hole in the center of it, and that's fine too. If it does do that, you can always add more wax to it. It's not like it's a big deal, or you can burn it like that. Either way works. But that is an indication sometimes that you may have gotten your wax too hot. So that is how I make my candles, and I'll show you more when I get them done. Okay, so after I made the green candle, I literally took paper towels and just wiped this out. It's not perfect, but it got all those little black crumbs out. And then I'm going to take the ones that I had already chipped and just get it into there as much as I can. And you can see I've got black pieces in there and everything else that I don't need. But this candle had not yet been shipped out, so we're going to try and do that one-handed. Let's see. Basically, this literally is all I do. Is I just cut through the candle and I do it in sections. This is hard to do one-handed, you guys. And a lot of times that will be enough to make a piece flip up. Sometimes it won't, and you'll have to come from the end, but then the pieces just come out like that. Now with this, because this was a 3-wick, good gracious, bad filming, it did come right out through the bottom. And then these things are glued, but I just pull them out. And so I will do that with the rest of it and just put it into my measuring cup, and then I will melt it all down. If you use a lot of the same candle, like I had enough to do a full green, that's not straight. If I had enough to do an actual green one and it's all of the Vanilla Bean Noel, you can save small jars and do that again. Or that's how I get pink a lot of times, just because I had just a little bit of red and it'll mix down and make it that color. When the wick holder sticks in, they literally will just peel right off. And then you just take your chunk of wax and put it in your measuring cup. Okay, this actually gives you a better idea of how it liquefies. This has been in my microwave now for 2 minutes, and it's starting to melt down, and it was overflowing when we started, so you just keep an eye on it and watch it as it does this. This is 3.5 minutes in my microwave, and the handle's already really hot. But you can see all the black floaties in there, and you can see how it's melted down, and it continues to melt because the liquid around it is hot enough to melt that wax. But we're still going to give it more time. Okay, this is like 4 minutes and 45 seconds, and I have a chunk in here that refuses to melt, but I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and use it anyway. And this candle I cheated with. I did melt it down just a little bit, just to soften up the wax, but I didn't bother taking it all out and remelting it. Should I have? Probably. I dipped my wick and I put it in the bottom so it's secure. And now we're going to pour. And we'll see what we end up with, because a lot of times the heat from the melted wax is enough to make the rest of the candle wax that's in there melt in and absorb. So we're hoping that's what happens. Of course, it was enough to screw up the wick, but that's totally standard. Now, I did put a wick in this one, but to give you a better shot, okay, and those were it was all in this one to start with, and I still had this one to chip out. I think that's the one you watched me do. So I literally just straighten out, and I kind of just keep dipping the wick so that it has a good coating. And then I'm going to let that cool off for a minute before I grab that end, because it's going to be hot, obviously. And it's still a little dribbly on the end too, but that's okay. I do end up with a lot of wax on my fingers, and I do burn myself. It happens. And then I just dip the bottom, and then I bring it over here, and I kind of stick it as close to the middle as I can. And when in doubt, you can take the knife you were using and kind of smoosh it down into where you want it. And since there's not really a ton of wax on this, it will set really quickly, which is nice. So you're not left with a bunch of melty wax that's going to take forever. So you can actually pour the candle right away. So and this one is a bigger one. This is the one I got from my mom, and I have no idea why it's a different size, but oops, I just got wax on the counter. All right, that I will wipe out with a paper towel and throw away. And I do everything on a paper towel because I get wax all over the place, and you have to chip it off then. And then I just wipe it on my paper towel. I'm a mess. You guys know this. So then I'm just going to set these up with the knives around the wick to center them. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so it's literally only been about 10 minutes. But you can see the candle is already changing color. And these did pretty well. So I only had to use one knife to prop these up. But they're solidifying. I've already pulled the knives off the green one. It didn't dip too badly. It's pretty level across the top. And then we have my funky one, which I didn't even use the knives to center the wick. The wick actually just kind of stayed, but it may be because I had so much of the vanilla wax left in there, and you can see it changed all kinds of colors. It'll be an interesting one to burn. And I'll just chip off this little edge here. But basically, like I said, I'll kind of leave these sitting until they solidify a little bit, scooch them off, throw away my paper towel, clean up the rest of my mess, and then I will have all kinds of candles, which you will see in my upcoming video. When I do my empties, I will show you the ones that I made. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.